Welcome. I'm Lee Cowan, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we bring you every weekend on Sunday morning. Actor Woody Harrelson found stardom on the beloved sitcom Cheers and parlayed it into a thoughtful career playing complex characters. But as he told Ben Mankiewicz, sometimes there's that one role that got away.
Though after getting his big break, he wasn't sure there was life after Cheers.
I thought that was just going to be my career because 6 years in, I hadn't done any other part. And back then, it was much harder to jump off of television into movies. Now, it's kind of an open door both directions.
He's gone through that revolving door multiple times, from TV to movies and back again. Along the way, there have been a couple of whiffs.
You turn stuff down a lot, right? Or you have?
Well, I should.
No, I don't think you should.
No, I do, of course.
Jerry Maguire?
Yeah, that was a blunder. And then like 2 days later, I hear Tom Cruise is doing it, and I'm like, oh, I might have fucked that.
Later in the show, Woody Harrelson on how he moved to New York.
You're a fan of It's a Wonderful Life, yeah?
Oh, I'm a fan of a lot of Jimmy Stewart's. Yeah, he's one of the greats. I met him.
You did?
One time, yeah. I got to meet him. I was with my buddy Clint. And Clint Allen is the guy who got me to move to New York because he got accepted to Juilliard, also an actor. He was the guy who got all the great parts in college. And then, you know, he was destined for greatness. Anyway, he did. He got accepted to Juilliard, and I said I'd move with him thinking, you know, what are the odds? He's going to get accepted. Thousands of people trying to get in. He got accepted.
Then we follow Seth Doane through Venice as he explores why decorative masks are so closely tied to the Italian canal city.
Masks allowed the mixing of classes, removing divisions in the strict hierarchy of Venetian society.
Wearing a mask was a social equalizer in a sense.
A social equalizer?
Yeah, social equalizer.
This is which one?
This is the bauta.
In their shop, Belloni showed us the bauta costume, of which the Volto mask plays a key part in concealing identity.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. Woody Harrelson got his very first taste of fame doing Elvis impressions for laughs in his high school library, and has chased that feeling through a career as one of Hollywood's most multifaceted actors. Ben Mankiewicz sat down with him to talk about the intoxicating high of performing, well, and the high of other substances as well.
So, Ben, what we have here is a lot of marijuana.
Is that what this is? Oh, all right.
It likely doesn't come as a surprise
And this is more like smokable stuff.
that Woody Harrelson is a weed fan.
It's just a little dream of what a great dispensary could be.
At The Woods, the cannabis dispensary he co-owns in West Hollywood, his dream has come true. A lush and welcoming space complete with a koi pond and macaws.
There's some macaws here and over here.
It is not a place young Woody Harrelson, raised in a deeply religious Presbyterian household in rural Ohio by his mother, ever expected to be, let alone own.
She'd be sitting there, she'd have her coffee and cigarette and everything in the morning, you know, and she'd be like, son, if I ever hear that you're smoking marijuana, it'll just kill me. And
Woody, this way!
Harrelson's day job remains the same. He's spent yo-yoing back and forth between TV and movies, comedy and drama. Versatility is his calling card.
I've always been much more partial to the more indie spirit, you know, the movies that have this kind of deep heart, you know, and this movie definitely has heart.
This movie is Champions. Harrelson plays a prickly but charming basketball coach with NBA dreams who finds himself coaching a team of players with intellectual disabilities called the Friends.
Welcome to the team, Constantina. What's with the boogie board?
You do you, I do me, okay? Where do you get this guy?
He just showed up one day.
Before the first day shooting, director Bobby Farrelly, who Harrelson first worked with on Kingpin, told him the first scene he'd shoot when his character meets the team for the first time,
My name is Marcus.
would be almost entirely improv.
Basketball coach for the next 3 months.
Nope.
To just throw things out and see how it goes, it just kind of freaked me. I didn't sleep. Then I went in there, I meet these guys, and they are just awesome.
I'm Johnny. I'm your homie with an extra chromie.
I just had the best. I love them. They're just all incredible people and just phenomenal senses of humor, which really comes through.
Harrelson's sense of humor has been on display since he made his screen debut on the 4th season of Cheers in 1985.
What do you think? You want to give him a try?
Me? Mr. Malone, this is the proudest day of my life.
But it's the laugh he got one day in his high school library that hooked him on show business.
The guys from the football team, you know, who had heard me do it before, they're like, Woody, do your Elvis. I'm like, kidding me? This place is packed. I can't do my Elvis. And they're like, but just do it quiet. They convinced me, and so I'm like, I start off kind of soft. Well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I'm like a man on a fuzzy tree. And before you know it, I'm in the middle of a circle of the entire library, including the librarian, has gathered around, and they're like clapping. And at the end of it, it was unbelievable. Like everybody was applauding. And the feeling of that, like they say, that feeling that you get from that applause, that's what makes you say, this is it.
He's been at it ever since. He studied theater in college, though after getting his big break, he wasn't sure there was life after Cheers.
I thought that was just going to be my career, because 6 years in, I hadn't done any other part. And back then, it was much harder to jump off of television into movies. Now, it's kind of an open door both directions.
He's gone through that revolving door multiple times, from TV to movies and back again. Along the way, there have been a couple of whiffs.
You turn stuff down a lot, right? Or you have.
Well, I should.
No, I don't think you should.
No, I do, of course.
Jerry Maguire?
Yeah, that was a blunder. And then like 2 days later, I hear Tom Cruise is doing it, and I'm like, oh, I might have fucked that up.
There haven't been many mistakes. He has an Emmy for Cheers, 3 Oscar nominations. When he's not working, the father of 3 girls lives in Maui and Texas with his wife, Laura.
We call this the treehouse.
But wherever he is, he always seems to be in Woodyville.
You're a vegan, you're an environmentalist, you're a cannabis advocate, but you seem to know you don't want to bully other people into your ways of thinking, even though you feel passionate about it.
Well, I never noticed that preaching works. Like me trying to tell someone, don't eat that cheese, has never, ever worked.
What works for Woody changes. For a while, a few years back, he even gave up weed.
I wanted to be emotionally available.
To your family?
To my family, to my friends. It was a good experiment.
His longtime pal and fellow toker Willie Nelson brought that experiment to an end at one of their regular poker games.
Willie would always act like he didn't know that I quit. You know, I'm saying for like the 5th time that day, I quit, you know, and he's like, oh. I win a big hand. He hands it right to me, and I just grab it, and I take a big toke, and he goes, welcome home, son. Welcome home, son. Because I got to say, even when basically I came out of the closet on the herb thing, it was not a happy, frolicky, fun response.
Do you think it hurt your career for a bit?
I don't think it helped.
That was 25 or so years ago.
This is it.
In 2023, the world has finally caught up to Woody Harrelson.
People are just anxious to put you in a little box in this industry, you know, so I'm the year of the ox. You know, just slowly I trudge along. I'm not the fastest animal out there, but I keep going.
Up next, an exclusive excerpt from Woody Harrelson's chat. One you can only see right here on CBS News Streaming. Stay with us. As promised, here's more from Ben Mankiewicz's conversation with Woody Harrelson.
I think you would describe yourself now as spiritual, but not religious. Certainly not in the sense you were growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of 4 religions, all bound into one. I'm a Hindu Buddhafarian and get a lot more holiday time. So that was one of my best moves. I'm like, well, how can I get that weekend off? But I wouldn't call myself religious, but to me, God probably doesn't have a corporal body. He doesn't have something to throw clothes on. But if we want to throw clothes on God, I kind of like the Hindu version of things.
You think about some bigger issues still, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you're a philosophical guy.
Philosophical, yes. Yeah. I'm feeling philosophical right now.
Are you?
I was driving here today, and I was thinking philosophically. I said to myself, look at these 4 ladies walking up the hill. They're all in black. This is a perfect, microcosm of L.A. There's 4 ladies of a Saturday morning walking up the hill in black. It's like, and I thought to myself, why does everybody wear black? It's such a thing of wearing black. It's like, are we in mourning or something? I don't know. But then I look down and I'm like, I'm wearing black. And so.
Why do you think that is? I mean, it is slimming. We are all.
Is that what it is?
It's slimming. We constantly.
Then that's explanation.
I think it is. I think it's less.
You don't need like a 3-dimensional explanation in Los Angeles.
That's right. It's Los Angeles, and we're all very worried about how everybody else looks. That's right. Yeah. So you're a fan of It's a Wonderful Life, yeah?
Oh, I'm a fan of a lot of Jimmy Stewart's. Yeah, he's one of the greats. I met him.
You did?
One time, yeah. I got to meet him. I was with my buddy Clint. And Clint Allen is the guy who got me to move to New York because he got accepted to Juilliard, also an actor. He was the guy who got all the great parts in college. And then, he was destined for greatness. Anyway, he did. He got accepted to Juilliard, and I said I'd move with him thinking, what are the odds? He's going to get accepted, thousands of people trying to get in. He got accepted, moved to New York, and then after 2 years at Juilliard, he went into a Broadway play. And, it was a lot thanks to him, but he and I were together one time, got on a plane, and sitting there in the in front of us was Jimmy Stewart with his wife. And we just had to go over and say how nuts we were about him. And he wrote us a beautiful note back. And Clint has that note. I think we're supposed to trade off. Each of us get the note for 5 years. He's had hold of it 20 years. So I think I get my 20-year stint now. By the way, he told us, make sure you do theater. That was his thing, yeah. Right. Young actors, that was his advice.
He did a lot of theater before he went to MGM, yeah.
Before he went over to the MGM.
I mean, watching you try to do Jimmy Stewart, I could do that for a couple hours. Yeah.
I'm going to keep working on this.
Then you do whatever it is, 10, 12 years ago, you do True Detective, and it's totally different, right? I mean, now that's the best writing now, strikes me, is on television.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's where the best character development, television, right?
Yeah.
And True Detective was a big part of that growth, that explosion.
Yeah, that did shift things from, it was the first time, and I don't give myself credit because Matthew was already in, but it was the first time movie stars did television. Never had that. It was always people doing television wanted to get to movies. Well, this is movie people doing television, so that was kind of a cool shift that happened. And now I guess it's pretty common, but I was amazed. I just remember hearing about it, like, hold it, Matthew's doing a television show. What?
So that was a big part of getting you to do it, or at least telling you, sending a message subliminally, like, oh, this is okay. This doesn't mean I'm done with movies.
He was one of my best friends. He still is. I just remember hearing it. I couldn't make it. It made no sense. It's just impossible.
I heard an interview years ago with Howard Stern, and he was interviewing Bradley Cooper, who was publicizing American Sniper. This is long after True Detective. This is long after, obviously, The Sopranos, where it's already clear that television's very good. But still, Howard asked Bradley Cooper, you got whatever it is then, 2 or 3 Oscar nominations. You wouldn't do TV, right? You're still a movie star. There's still some people who wouldn't do TV, right? You know, and Cooper said, he said, I go where the writing is. So I get a good script and it's a character that captures me. Of course I'd do television. And then Bradley Cooper said, look, he goes, man, Tom Hardy's doing television. If Tom Hardy's doing television, and I was like, I had no idea that Tom Hardy was that. I thought, man, other actors must think Tom Hardy is really good for that to be the reference point.
Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So now, right now, there's no. I mean, you know, Meryl Streep's doing television, for crying out loud.
Right.
It's over.
It's over.
when Meryl Streep does television, it's over. You can't. There's no. The lines have been permanently blurred. But is that true for you too? That idea that, man, whatever if it's TV, streaming, a movie.
Yeah, I'm not done doing television. In fact, I'm going to do more of it. You know, that's where I agree. Better characters, better writing. Why not?
Up next, going behind the mask. Welcome back. Costume masks can be found in many of the souvenir shops in Venice, Italy, and for good reason. Hiding behind them was integral to their society for centuries. Here's Seth Doane.
Venice's very existence inspires wonder, and during Carnival, the city of canals provides a fanciful backdrop for the festivities leading up to Lent. Costumes, and notably masks, have added to the mystery of these celebrations for centuries, upstaging everyday uniforms and overshadowing those pandemic face coverings that became all too familiar.
Come lei sente quando usa questa maschera? How do you feel when you wear this mask?
Sembra di tornare indietro col tempo.
It feels like going back in time, this woman told us, adding, it's like living on this stage. It's marvelous. Their stage on this sunny Sunday was St. Mark's Square. They told us dressing up made them feel 100% Venetian.
Veneziani al 100%?
È la maschera tradizionale, storica di Venezia.
It's a traditional historic Venetian mask, this man told us of his volto.
Come ad esempio la sua.
And hers, for example, he added, is the Moretta. If you look at Longhi's paintings, you'll see these masks. Indeed, Pietro Longhi's work reveals how face coverings were a focal point of Venetian life in the 1700s, not so different from Davide Belloni's early years in the 1980s.
My childhood memories are full of masks, for sure.
Full of masks?
Yeah.
Belloni's parents were mask makers, and now through their family company, Kamakanap, he's carrying on this craft.
Here in Venice, there was a tradition, common costume, of wearing masks not only during Carnival, but for at least 6 months a year. And it was a common fashion to wear a mask not to be recognized. So people used to go around the city to public places, cafe, market squares, and so on, wearing masks.
What time period are we talking about?
Well, we are talking about, for sure, about the 16 and 1700, but we have some documents that speak about masks that come from the Middle Age.
Masks allowed the mixing of classes, removing divisions in the strict hierarchy of Venetian society.
Wearing a mask was a social equalizer in a sense.
A social equalizer?
Yeah, social equalizer.
This is which one?
This is the bauta.
In their shop, Belloni showed us the bauta costume, of which the volto mask plays a key part in concealing identity.
I'm ready to go gambling or to the theater.
And do whatever you want without me recognizing you and spotting you out and, you know, chit-chatting about you, gossiping about you.
This would be handy to have today.
And there are other masks with modern relevance.
This is the plague doctor mask.
It dates to the 1500s, used by doctors dealing with the plague. The eyes were glass and the long beak stuffed with aromatic herbs.
this was not a carnival, this was not a fun mask.
No, not at the beginning at least, but in the last century of the Venetian Republic, so in the 1700s, this became like a costume, and this was used on Mardi Gras, on the last day of Carnival, to remember people to go back to a better behavior.
When Napoleon conquered Venice in 1797, he did away with masks due to the debauchery they allowed, never mind the security challenge they posed.
And so for 200 years, basically, this tradition was almost forgotten.
Until the 1970s, when artisans, including Carlos Brasesco, got to work.
La maschera ha accompagnato la cultura di Venezia.
Masks accompanied Venetian culture practically from its origin, Brasesco told us, and we are trying to recover some of this tradition. We met as he was transporting a giant bull and pigs to be used in a carnival parade, noting,
A Venezia è tutto difficile.
In Venice, everything is more difficult. The animals represent a carnival-time gift the Venetian Republic demanded from a defeated army hundreds of years ago. Brasesco is keeping alive both the story and tradition. Each year, the parade floats down the Grand Canal. The only mask mandate here is the more extravagant, the better.
I'm Lee Cowan. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here next time on Here Comes the Sun.